Hello everyone, this is Bob and Threadbare, and welcome back to Deus Ex. Looks like this door is locked and there's no key to it. And once again, I do not want to disturb the two people who are inside this door, so I'm just going to have to pick it open. Yeah, I'm down to the incredibly low number of 15 now. Oh no. Amazingly spacious, though.
What about your mother?
She is not prepared for the rugged life in the mountains.
And I am?
We're young, oh. We are ready to wrestle grizzly bears if we have to.
My dear, grizzly bears have been extinct for decades.
You know what I mean.
Always a romantic. You never let real life interfere with your plans.
It will be a test. What you are always wanting. A test of your love.
These two have a very interesting relationship.
This is what would happen. Finding nothing but pine cones and snow in the mountains, we would take a bus to one of the cities and stand in line for sandwiches.
But oh...
In the rain, unemployed and without a home, having chosen to emigrate during the worst economic disaster North America has ever known.
I already have work with the militia.
The what?
In America, the people have a long tradition of joining militias to keep their local communities safe and free.
You? A soldier? At your age?
I have been seeping my life away in cafes. I'm going to plant my feet on the earth, hold a rifle to my chest, and dare any man to move me.
There you go. Now you are sounding like a man. And if I say no, you're going to drag me by the hair all the way across the Atlantic.
Yes, I will.
Like I said, an interesting relationship. But if I talk to that guy for too long, he'll turn hostile because I'm, kind of intruding. So I'm not going to do that. I'm going to just leave them alone. Steal their money. Have a look through their painting gallery. I have no idea why they apparently live in a spacious painting gallery of all things. Nothing much up here but the skill points. And this is a bathroom without any doors. What the hell? French people are weird. The place is glowing like it's some sort of centerpiece. What have we got? 200 credits. Another bank account, and a medkit I am not going to use. Anything else from you two? No. Alright, well that's the end of that. Guess we'll go into...
We have reports of terrorist activity. Stay inside.
whatever this building is.
Sorry, all full tonight.
Don't need a room, but maybe you can help me find a member of the group Silhouette. Her name's Nicolette Duclair.
No, I know nothing about that. Leave me alone.
Oh yeah? Well, maybe your computer will tell a different story. Or maybe it will have no email on it.
Not a good night to be on the street. I never heard of anything called Silhouette. I mind my own business. As you see, we rent a decent hotel, but we do not know everything about our tenants. As you see, we rent a decent hotel, but we do not know everything. Get a room and wait for morning.
Well, let's see. So what kind of building is this anyway? Well, first thing to do is come back here, grab the hotel key. Yeah, and sure enough, these look like private rooms to me.
Observe your motivations for breaking arbitrary laws of current government. Do not miss your chance to be one of us and create the new world order.
That freaked me out nice and proper the first time I was playing this game. You get used to, you know, just breaking into everywhere. Suddenly, Icarus pops in and just calls you out on it. Even though nothing else would happen to you.
Excusez-moi.
Best accent in the game.
I clean all of the rooms every day. The front desk is downstairs. No danger of parasites. We have a bar, too, downstairs in the back. Excusez-moi.
Excusez-moi. Gotta love that accent. This must be the bar she was talking about.
Can I help you?
Who are those guys over there?
A couple of thugs. Ignore them. What would you like? Wine is $1.20. Snacks are $5.
It's a lot of money for booze.
Heard of Nicolette Duclair?
No, I'm sorry. Is she a guest of the hotel?
A member of Silhouette.
You want Club La Porte de l'Enfer. No revolutionaries here.
Where's that?
Number 13, I believe.
Crazy camera angles at the end there.
You must be Renault.
So?
I heard you're looking to hire a thief.
The baker at number 15 keeps Zyme. 100% pure. In one of the ovens.
I already busted into that place.
Same deal. 50 credits each vial.
So here's something interesting. He will take all the Zyme you have off your hands.
I'll make the trade.
Never mind the bartender. He is cool.
Here. Take it.
Good job. We must work together again when I find out where they will move the drop-off.
I'll be out of town, but thanks for the cash.
So yeah, Renault took all of my Zyme. All 8 of them instead of just the 6 I found in that bakery.
I like the soldiers everywhere. They make my business very profitable. Maybe you will change your mind. Too bad you will be leaving the city. We could develop a partnership. Remember, I always pay a fair price. Be careful of the local police. Be careful of the local police. The Sicilians, you are correct to wish to leave town. We are trusting in your discretion. Leave us now. Renault is grateful. A good piece of work. We respect that. We are trusting in your discretion.
Well, that seems to be about it for this hotel.
Only a few businesses are open. Not much.
And in fact, I believe I've explored pretty much everything that is not the club at this point. Oh, right, yes. I have a few more ATM numbers. I'd just like to take a look at that. Alright. Morbus 13. Alright, that's the one I hacked. Okay, here we go. That was the wrong number. Just need to check this again. Alright. I think I put in an 8 where I should have put a 3. There we go. 100 more credits. And Aramis 01. Another 150. Anything else? I don't think I've used Salem 008. Aha, here we go. This is why I think that this particular map is special, because it's got this incredibly negative minus 550 balance on this particular map. So it has to be able to set it to a negative number, the amount of money in an ATM. You see, it does not match, the amount of money I've withdrawn since withdrawing all the money, plus negative 550. Instead, it is just negative 550, so it sort of reset the numbers, which is why I think it's unique. But again, I could be utterly mistaken about all of this. Now, oh, hang on.
La Porte de l'Enfer. Resistant members aren't the only ones fond of the discreet staff and plentiful shadows. Watch your back.
300 credits.
No thanks.
You are not our first choice of customer either.
Yeah, well, about that. I figure there's a better way to get into this club.
Get out!
And that's to knock you the hell out. There, see? I got the door key code. So that one ventilation shaft I passed on the way in, that would be a way to sneak behind that guy. But yeah, he doesn't react if you just break the glass in front of him.
Please, keep your weapons concealed. Obey the rules and enjoy yourself. No fighting.
Hi, baby. What's your name?
JC.
Mysterious. Want to know my initials?
How about you tell me something about the people who come here?
Anything you like, cutie. 20 credits.
Okay.
So, who do you want to find?
What can you tell me about Nicolette Duclair?
I see now. You are in love, you poor man. She has already given her heart to one of the revolutionaries.
I'm not in love. Could you tell me if she's here?
You have a look. Yes, a tough guy look, but you cannot compare to a real revolutionary. They have their own private society upstairs. You will be happier down here. Another 20 credits?
Sure.
I can tell you about Antoine, the thief.
Go ahead. Should I be keeping an eye on my credit chits?
He pretends to be a big-time smuggler, but really he just steals things from the augmentation clinic where his mother works.
Everyone's got to start somewhere, I guess.
You will find him lurking in a dark corner. I bet he will try to sell you something. Am I telling you what you want to know? Can I have another 20 credits?
Sure.
Who next? Jacques, the accountant?
I'm not picky. Tell me about Jacques.
He grew up here in the Champs-Élysées. He knows everybody. If you're looking for a particular person...
Where do I find him?
He is in the office behind the South Bar. What do you say? Another 20 credits?
Sure.
This time I tell you about myself.
Okay.
My name is Camille. I'm a writer.
Yeah? What are you doing in a place like this?
I'm working on a novel. If I dress up like a nurse twice a week, I make enough money to write the other 5 days.
Not bad.
Funny how the traffic of credits brings our dreams and fantasies to life. Every transaction is like a small prayer. If so many men have a thing for nurses, you can be sure someone will be standing right where I am, collecting the offerings.
Well, I was buying information.
Sure, baby, if you say so. But if my novel ever gets published, that would be 400 pages of pure information. Think you would put down the 10 credits to get it?
I'm not much into books.
You have to share. I must amuse the others now. Come again, same time next week. Come again, same time next week.
Busy night, huh? This place used to be a party. People don't go out anymore. Even my friends in the Champs-Élysées. The coup is such a drag. There's nothing to do anymore. There's nothing to do anymore.
Yeah, JC likes reading, but only about 1 page at a time. surprisingly lively.
Chad's dead.
No.
The police are making a clean sweep through the catacombs. He can't hide.
Silhouette knows what to do in these situations.
I told him this would happen, but he would not let go of his Voltaire delusion.
Maybe he is a Voltaire. We don't know.
Was Voltaire.
Chad knows exactly what he is doing. He will be a great hero in French history.
A martyr maybe, not a philosophe.
He's quoted all over the world.
Slogans, antiques, no contract social.
Ideas take many forms.
He recycles the past. It is nothing special to be a reactionary who tries to revive the same old rhetoric.
I have some good news for both of you. Chad's alive.
You seen him? Where? Is he okay?
An American accent. What business do you have with Silhouette?
My business is with the terrorists who control the French government. They're planning the same in my own country.
What would l'armée de terre want with America?
The French army had nothing to do with the coup. It was an international paramilitary group called Majestic 12.
Hey, what about Chad? How is he?
His hideout is secure. I'm looking for a friend of his named Nicolette Duclair. She can lead me to a powerful enemy of the conspirators.
Nicolette! Oh yeah, she's here.
She does not want to be found.
You know her?
She realizes how foolish it is to antagonize the government and has gone into hiding.
My friend is right. Nicolette told us not to trust anyone. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Nicolette is in enough trouble as it is.
Political freedom is rhetoric?
A necessary deception of the industrial age.
A realization, rather, of the value of a human life.
Human life was valuable only in one sense. Suddenly, any person was a unit of labor in the factory system, roughly equivalent to all others, and was therefore a transferable resource.
It was the greatest age this planet has ever seen. The age of invention, of self-reliance, of the individual artist.
And transferable resources must be free to move about in response to market forces. That's freedom. Now that most people don't produce anything of value.
We're talking about the inherent worth of an individual, not economic utility.
Now that only a few people create wealth, the scientists, engineers, bankers, and so on, we require an arrangement of the few over the inert mass the rest of us have become.
A nation's government does not have to bow down beneath economic laws.
That is where we differ. I believe the evolution is always in that direction.
We have to realize that people were transferable resources back when they were serfs and slaves, too. It's not exactly new.
Hello, tough guy.
You talking to me?
You use bioelectric devices, yes? Manufacture steroids in your muscles?
Nothing as crude as that.
But yes, you would be interested in a bioelectric cell for 250 credits.
Well, maybe if I weren't full up, but I am.
No thanks.
So that would be the guy who steals from his mother.
What will it be? A snack for 10 credits? Wine for 120.
Know the name Nicolette Duclair?
What do you want with Miss Duclair?
A private matter.
This club has good security. You try something, you won't be arrested. You will be dead.
I'm a friend of hers.
She would have told me to expect you.
What do you think of Silhouette?
They have the right idea, but they are weak.
Do they have much popular support?
The people are ready to fight. Foreign troops go down the street every day, not even afraid of being seen.
The group that has occupied the Chancellery is called Majestic 12. They control the United Nations and plot against other governments as well.
What we need is an army. Silhouette should be organizing resistance, not spreading around slogans everybody already agrees with.
Never mind.
Sure is a lot of discussion in here. You guys do not have anything more to say, do you? Nah, I guess not. How about you?
Have a light?
I don't smoke.
What's your name?
I'm a little busy right now.
Hey, can I ask a favor? I'm out of money. Have any spare chits?
How does someone with no money get into a club with a 300 credit cover charge?
My friends work here.
Then you must know all about the place.
Oh yes, I used to work in the office. I could tell you anything. How about 200 credits? I could give you the code to the safe room.
What about Nicolette Duclair? Know her?
I don't want to get mixed up in any of that. I stay out of other people's business.
Mixed up in what?
You know how they used to steal sunglasses from the street cops or run by with scissors and cut off their ties? That kind of thing, always calling attention to themselves.
You mean Silhouette? I think they were trying to save Paris from exactly what's going on right now.
Funny way of doing it, and pretty dangerous. Once people know who you are, you can be killed. Just like that. Just like Nicolette's mother. Enough! I'm not saying her name again. Come on, 200 credits. You will find much more than that in the safe room.
That's not that bad a price.
Sure.
It's just a little room with a keypad back where the offices are. The code is 1966.
Thanks.
By the way, I looked up that date.
I know the bathroom is unisex, but just wait a minute, will you?
You're just standing there. Some weird stalls, too. But I was saying, I looked up the date, 1966.
Oh!
And as far as French history goes, what I found is that that is the date that France officially withdrew from NATO. Now, they were technically still in an alliance with NATO, and that's where you'd end up if you were still sneaking, by the way. But yeah, they're in an alliance with NATO. But hang on.
Qu'est-ce que je vous sers?
Thin crowd. Has martial law heard business?
Heard business? Heard business? You can even get on the metro. How can you get to the club without the metro?
I came through the catacombs.
Oui, oui. The only way is to crawl on your belly like a stinking rat. That's all we get, stinking rats.
Silhouette members, you mean?
Rats, and the Gestapo, and they want free drinks.
Gestapo?
Not French soldiers. Some of them don't even speak French.
The troops at the metro?
Oui, there was a coup. We see the president only on video recording, and sweat is dripping from his mustache because it's obvious. Someone is pointing a gun at his head.
You might be right about that. Never mind.
They never changed the code, idiots! As far as I'm concerned, this place could burn down. They said I was stealing, which isn't true. Everybody else was doing exactly the same thing.
Well, just because everybody's doing it does not mean it was not stealing.
Oh, they pay you nothing to work here. You can't even live on it. I hope Mr. Tarot tries to throw me out. I'd like to see him try. Oh, great jacket. Très chic. They never changed the code, idiots.
You know the funny thing, though, is that a few years after this game came out, France officially rejoined NATO.
You work here?
The bartender will help you. I am the accountant.
Just a few questions. Have you heard of Silhouette?
So, you're in that game. Don't say a word. I don't want to know. But for 1,000 credits, I'll give you the address of an arms smuggler who is out of town. Do you need guns?
I already broke into that guy's place.
No way.
Talk to me again. I am your man.
Especially for 1,000 credits. Come on, man. That's a good thing we got the key code back from the bouncer earlier. And this here is the rear exit. This is the locked door I may have mentioned before, which prevents you from coming in through the back door without expending some sort of resources. Except that, you know, it turns out people don't care if you break glass. And so I expended the minimal number of resources to get into this particular club. I have to admit, if nothing else, there is plenty of ammunition here. Looks like cigarettes. Alright, I'm done here. Heck, I even got 100 credits back just from breaking in there.
Pretty lady, huh?
Just aside from all the ammunition and the thermoptic camo, which is expensive if you try and buy it. Also, kind of interesting how the mirrors work here. Trying to see if I'm reflected in both of them at once. On this side here. Kind of hard to tell, it gets kind of dirty.
Cloud? Oh, sorry, my mistake. Cloud was a friend of mine. Silly of me, I still think I see him sometimes. He got shot by one of the guards here. They've started using real ammunition. It was a mistake. These other people were fighting and Claude just wanted to get away. He had this tough guy look, the guards just assumed. You should be careful too. Everybody's very tense these days. They think anybody who looks a little funny is a terrorist. Everybody's very tense these days.
I'll talk to her later. There's one other person up here.
Everything is satisfactory, I trust. We remodeled the upstairs, you may have noticed. Many customers wanted quiet areas where they could talk. I think I finally struck the perfect balance between the Dionysian and Apollonian. What do you think? We get a rather iconoclastic crowd these days. The place does not fill up until very late. I should be getting back to my duties. Pleasure to meet you. Have a good time. Have a good time.
Interesting guy. So finally, let's talk to the person we came here to see.
I'm looking for Nicolette Duclair.
So?
Do you know her?
I know her name. I know that her mother called her Angel.
You know her mother? It's a friend of her mother's I need to find.
Angel. That would make her a fallen angel now, wouldn't it? You must be after Everett.
Yeah, Morgan Everett. How did you guess?
What makes you think Nicolette would betray one of her mother's closest friends?
I helped her friends from Silhouette. Chad will vouch for me. I'm after the people who murdered her mother.
You are an assassin or something?
When necessary.
Go out behind the club. I will talk to Nicolette and perhaps she will meet you there. She will insist that you meet her alone. If you are lying, she will not hesitate to kill you. Out back, 5 minutes. Out back, 5 minutes.
I just noticed that she's got skulls on her shins. It's a pretty interesting clothing she's got. But she wants me to go out back, so I'll just take the back exit here. You know, there's not much to see, just the trash bins there in this long hallway. But for completion's sake, here's how to get to the back exit of the club.
See if your friend's ready to go. See if your friend's ready to go.
Alright.
She decided not to show?
I am Nicolette. I will help you simply to make trouble for Majestic 12. It's true, they killed my mother.
Do you know why?
She was an Illuminatus. The only people MJ-12 has ever feared are the Illuminati.
Stan Dowd said they had fallen from power.
How do you know Dowd?
I met him in New York.
A trusted friend of my mother's. Yes, the Illuminati are wiped out, but Paige still fears Morgan Everett.
Where do we find him?
One of my mother's many secrets. We'll have to look for clues at my family's chateau.
How does Everett threaten Mob Paige?
Paige was an Illuminatus. For him, intellect is the foundation of power, and that would make Everett his most dangerous rival.
But Everett's the one in hiding.
Both the Illuminati and MJ-12 believe that the most intelligent or enlightened human being will inevitably gain power, ultimately seizing the eye in the pyramid and creating the world for everyone else. Kind of secularized version of natural law.
Page has a trained army to protect him.
He is still vulnerable. Much of his power comes from secret laboratories, meaning the right person could reverse engineer his whole power base.
Let's hope you're right, and that Everett is everything you say he is. Wait by the chopper. I'm not quite ready to leave.
We don't have all night.
I'll be quick.
See if your friend's ready to go.
Yeah, well, thank you. But I just need to make a quick save here.
Ready?
Let's go.
You trust the guy in the helicopter?
That's Jock. Don't worry, he hasn't let me down yet. Come on.
Oh, guess I could just make a save here, too. Alright, and there we go.
Let's hit it.
Hey, Gunther. Long time no see. You just missed us. But don't worry. He'll catch up eventually. So, it looks like Richard III got quoted a couple of times. So, welcome back to Literature Corner. Let's have a little chat about Shakespeare. The author. Once upon a time, there was a guy from a central England town called Stratford-upon-Avon who decided to move to London to become an actor. After a few years, he figured he'd try his hand at playwriting. Maybe do a few poems on the side, you know. Everybody wants to direct. He did pretty well in his lifetime, and by the time he retired, he was a respected entertainer. Unfortunately, he probably retired due to health reasons, since he died 3 years later at age 52, and his playhouse burned down with all the original copies of his works. While his plays never really faded in popularity, it wasn't until the 19th century that they became huge, and suddenly he was the patron saint of all English writers. The thing is, though, that since Shakespeare wasn't terribly important during his life, and you basically had to be royalty to get a biographer in your own lifetime, and since all his copies burned down with the Globe Theatre, there's a gap for people to question whether a middle-class kid from the sticks with no college education could really have had the chops to write such memorable plays. There were a lot of famous authors contemporary to Shakespeare too, and so the field of alternatives is wide open. In total, there are at least 80 men and women who have been put forward as the possible true author of Shakespeare's folio. There are a few general objections to the historical record, such as how Shakespeare's will doesn't mention his plays, and how he details the lives of gentry and exotic locations, even though his background says he wouldn't be familiar with either one. But to answer the first objection, Shakespeare didn't own his own plays since they were work for hire for his acting company. And as for the second, of course his plays are about nobles and far-off lands. Everybody wants to see kings marching around on stage and hearing about how great Venice and Verona are, because that's sure as hell not something the audience is going to see for themselves. Besides, there were plenty of factual errors throughout the plays, and you can chart when they were written based on when various travelogue books got published in London. A few of the authorship theories bear special mention. One contends that Christopher Marlowe did not die when he was supposed to, but instead lived for an extra decade or so, just so he could write a bunch of plays under a pseudonym. Today, the most popular alternate author is Edward de Vere, 17th Earl of Oxford. Edward had a good education, traveled extensively, knew Shakespeare's patrons, and wrote a few poems that kind of sounded like Shakespeare. Even better, though, is the Prince Tudor theory, which adds that Edward de Vere was secretly Queen Elizabeth's lover, and the two gave birth to William Hughes and/or the Earl of Southampton, to whom Shakespeare dedicates a sonnet sequence. Now, if only this son hadn't been a bastard, he could have been the next Tudor king. This would have prevented those Scottish Stuarts from taking over, and thus avoided all those terrible future events like the unification of Great Britain, the Glorious Revolution, and therefore the Industrial Revolution. Truly a missed opportunity. Oh, and then the theory got modified again, saying that the Earl of Oxford himself was Queen Elizabeth's bastard son, making their kid an inbred double bastard. Plus, he wrote the King James Bible single-handedly because, I don't know, fuck you. The works. So, of course, along with all the other author possibilities, there has to be one that fits in with the grand unified conspiracy theory. In this case, it's a secret society headed by Sir Francis Bacon, Sir Walter Raleigh, and Edmund Spenser. Bacon's scientific works influenced the Royal Society, though it was founded decades after his death, and the Royal Society is tied to the Rosicrucians, who are tied to the Freemasons, and there you go. There are a few other supposed connections, like between Bacon's book New Atlantis and the Rosicrucians, plus secret ciphers in Shakespeare's works supposedly prove that Bacon was Elizabeth's bastard son. And since the Bacon theory came first, it's probably responsible for the Tudor tumor on the Oxfordian theory. To me, though, the funny thing is how apparently Shakespeare was a patsy to these guys because of how subversive the plays were. But if you know the context of Elizabethan society, then no, they really weren't. I mean, they were certainly interesting and clever takes on existing plots, but they were not subversive, either to English culture or to the English government. Let's take the last one first. Two kings of the British Isle were particularly trashed by Shakespeare, Richard III and Macbeth. Now, if you read a history book, you'll see they probably did some nasty things during their lifetimes, but that's par for the course for any royalty, really. And they also did some good things, too. But here's the rub. Queen Elizabeth's grandfather, Henry VII, defeated and killed Richard III in order to obtain the crown. And so as far as his family, the Tudors, were concerned, Richard was a bad guy. It's not even Shakespeare's fault that Richard is a villain. The War of the Roses ended over 100 years before Shakespeare's birth. So, naturally, the history book that he used as a source, Holinshed's Chronicles, was Tudor propaganda. Macbeth was in the same boat. He was a decent guy, from what we can tell today, but he was killed by his successor to the Scottish throne, and his successor's descendant, James VI of Scotland, was married into the Tudor family and would become King James I of England and Scotland after Queen Elizabeth died. On the other hand, Henry V was the last monarch to reign before the War of the Roses began, and he's treated as some kind of superhero, this faultless guy who personally led his troops to victory over the French at Agincourt and extracted a bunch of concessions out of them. As for English culture, well, like I said, a lot of Shakespeare's plays were simply clever takes on existing plots. For instance, Merchant of Venice is about a greedy Jewish banker who decides to use a pound of flesh as a collateral on a loan. The loan comes due, the innocent Christian merchant can't pay it, and so the banker demands his collateral. This and that happens, the banker is punished, the merchant keeps his flesh, and all's well that ends well for God-fearing Christians. Jew bashing was certainly common at the time throughout Europe, but what's unusual about Merchant of Venice is that the banker, Shylock, is left alive at the end, and his daughter, also Jewish, is a heroine. Both of them get converted to Christianity at the end, but that's still a happy ending for them, compared to Shakespeare's contemporaries. Normally the villainous Jew is tortured, executed, or at the very least suffers a terrible and ironic fate at the end, but instead, Shylock gets that humanizing speech. Hath not a Jew eyes? If you prick us, do we not bleed? If you tickle us, do we not laugh? If you poison us, do we not die? And if you wrong us, shall we not revenge? That's something every Shakespearean villain has in common, in fact. They always get a moment to explain themselves. to justify their actions to the audience or else to show some regret. Another interesting play would be The Taming of the Shrew, a story about, among other things, a man who seduces a spirited woman into marrying him and then psychologically torments her until she submits to him. But again, this is, sadly, a step up from Shakespeare's contemporaries. During Queen Elizabeth's reign, there were a lot of plays and books where men would do things to get women to submit to them. I think you can see why they'd be feeling a little inadequate. But these stories about shrew taming were not psychological, but physical. One woman in particular was beaten with sticks and wrapped in a horse's skin until she submitted. So yeah, berating a woman and throwing out her food is still a step up. Hamlet is also unusual. It should be a fairly standard play about revenge, but Hamlet spends most of his time agonizing over whether killing his uncle is the right thing to do. He questions whether he can trust the word of his ghostly father. He wonders whether his mother bears any guilt. His most famous soliloquy asks whether it is better to suffer the pains of living or to end them. What should be a straightforward plot becomes far more thoughtful than it needs to be. Personal thoughts. Back in high school, I was fortunate enough to take part in a production of A Midsummer Night's Dream. I played as Bottom, an ass, in many different ways, and one of a group of working schmoes who want to put on a play for the other characters. There's a certain camaraderie among the actors in that script. The bit players complain about how few lines they have. The guy who has to play the woman tries to beg out by saying he's growing a beard. And of course, Bottom himself is a giant prima donna who pressures the weak-willed director into making all sorts of stupid changes. At the end, the schmoes perform their play. The moon screws up his lines, the other characters heckle the actors, Bottom breaks character to explain the plot, and then once he stabs himself, he takes forever to die. Oh, and by the way, the play they perform, Pyramus and Thisbe, is the same sort of star-crossed lovers who kill themselves tale as Romeo and Juliet. Out of curiosity, I went back to that play and checked the last scene, and in fact, the title characters get very few words between stabbing or poisoning themselves and death. But after being in that role, in that play, I cannot believe that the author did not know what it was like to be a part of an acting troupe. And the parody is so affectionate, I can't imagine it was aimed at some competition. For that matter, something else I noticed is that Demetrius, a member of the love quadrangle, which is Midsummer's main plotline, had a lot of stage time, but very few lines. It seemed to me like the role was tailor-made for someone like Bottom. Plenty of time to be out in the spotlight, but with very few lines to screw up or take in dumb directions. I can only hope that the guy Bottom was based on had a sense of humor. And besides all that, and these are my personal thoughts on the matter, I cannot believe that a man who coined over 1,700 words could possibly have had a formal education. Most of them are just basic alterations, verbs into nouns, nouns into adverbs, and the rest are just slang terms that nobody else had written down before. Inventing that many words is not genius. It is creative stupidism. You can quote me on that last part. Thanks for joining me again in Literature Corner, and I hope I'll see you soon.